What's up, guys? Emperor John Kill 3D Gaming here, and I'm glad to see you guys again. My week-long vacation had turned into a 2-week-long vacation, so it gave me some time to really sit back and do a video that I've been wanting to make. I've been wanting to make a video giving more thoughts and my pros and my cons to the Microsoft and Bethesda buyout deal, or Bethesda being bought by Microsoft. I know before I left for vacation I made a video, but I don't feel like I have to tell people that it's meant to make fun of or spoof or parody people, you know, trying to sound like the people that's saying, oh, it's trash, Microsoft's just buying it out of desperation. Yeah, I did that for the views and the clicks. I'm gonna be honest about that. That was just something I throw out there and see if it ruffles feathers between the fanboys' feathers. But no, I really wanted to talk about this because as of, how do I say this? I'm not a fanboy of Microsoft. I'm not a fanboy over Bethesda. I'm a fan of games. I'm a fan of different studios. I'm a fan of different IPs. And yes, Bethesda holds some of the IPs that I like. And a lot of people are going around saying that, that Microsoft's doing this out of desperation. Now, throughout this whole Microsoft gaming cycle, through the whole Microsoft's Xbox life cycle, yes, us as gamers, even an Xbox gamer can admit, they have dropped the ball. They have had no hits, mainly misses, and just mediocre exclusives. Even their first party titles are not holding weight like they used to. Gears, Halo, you know, they're relying more on third parties and Game Pass. Now, Game Pass, I can tell you this right now, I've used Game Pass. I love Game Pass. I do like Game Pass. Game Pass is actually really cool. It gives you a chance to play games that you can't buy at full price. That's really something neat. I used it to play the Halo Master Chief Collection to experience all the Halo games. And, you know, Halo 5, Halo Wars, which Halo Wars is my favorite Halo game, but that's, you know, a little off topic. Now they've acquired Bethesda, which means The Elder Scrolls, Doom, Arcane Studios, the Dishonored games. You know, they have a lot of IPs now that they could have now exclusive rights to and make exclusivity. But what people need to understand is a lot of these games that people are worried about going exclusive, like Doom and all that, being made only for the Xbox, they're going to be on Game Pass. All that's said right now is that Bethesda games are going to be on Game Pass day one. You know, newer titles and even their big games, which is good. I'm not saying this to ruffle feathers of Xbox fanboys to get them mad saying that finally Xbox has games. No, I'm saying it in this sense. It's good that Xbox now has some games, okay? Gamers and gaming companies need to be in competition with each other. That's what makes them develop more. That's what makes them try to outdo one another. I can admit, seeing how Sony trashed Microsoft this generation, yes, they've become a little too cocky and arrogant, and I think this next generation, this current generation was a battle of exclusives, so to say. And these exclusives, I'm not saying it whether they were good, bad, or just phenomenal, okay? There's only a few Sony exclusives that I say are really good and I really say that I enjoy. And Microsoft, I'm not going to lie, they have exclusives that are my favorite. I do like the Fable series, even though they're not all great. I did like the early Gears, Halo Reach being one of my favorite Halos. So one of my favorite Halos. Like Halo Wars is my favorite, but Halo Reach, I just want to throw that there, is one of my favorite Halo shooters, because the other one is a real-time strategy game. So I feel this current generation with Microsoft, it's going to be a battle. It's going to be a battle of monopolizing these studios. It's going to be a battle of which studio, and let's leave Nintendo out of this, because Nintendo we always got to throw shots at Nintendo, even though I do like Nintendo. Nintendo finally just reached the year 2010 with how they handle things, where Microsoft and Sony are really the only two in competition with each other. But that's the last thing I want to see, is them holding different. It's like two companies being fanboys, hosting games over each other's heads. Instead, now it's hosting different gaming companies and holstering different gaming IPs. And I don't want that. I mean, I already want exclusives to die as it is. So you know what? Let's just say if we had to choose, pick our poisons, double-edged sword here. We get rid of exclusives entirely. But companies like Sony and Microsoft will end up buying up these third-party studios. So it's like almost who has the most exclusive studios under their name. Okay? And then Microsoft, yes, in a way, if you look at it with the simplest point of view, yes, Microsoft bought them out of desperation because whether you say, whatever you have to say about Halo, whatever you got to say about the Elder Scrolls, whatever you have to say about Bethesda's games still make money. Okay? Even after the disastrous Fallout 76, and no matter how many times people buy Skyrim over and over, and I know what you're thinking, well, John, haven't you bought Skyrim over and over? Actually, no. No, I have not. I experienced it in the previous generation, before this current gen, before we reach the next gen. I experienced it, but never owned it to play it on my own merits and terms, and to, carve out my own adventure in the game. That was what this generation was for. I got Skyrim remastered. I experienced it all myself. And I love the Evil Within games. I do like the iteration of Doom that Bethesda's going with. I liked Prey. People could say what they would about the Dishonored 2. I like the Dishonored series. Okay? And I just don't want Microsoft not utilizing these properties. That's what my concern is, and that's what I wanted to really get out there. Is Microsoft going to utilize these properties correctly? Or are they going to make them be monopolized? Like monopolize microtransactions like they've done with Halo. Which Halo, it's like a kid taking the little shape toys to put the shapes in the right places. Think of microtransactions. It's developers and the companies trying to force the wrong shape into the wrong hole. Okay, that's all the microtransactions are. And Microsoft does not have a good track record with their games to warrant any good faith. This is a decisive move. Don't get me wrong, this is a very decisive move and intriguing. It intrigues you. There shouldn't be no fussing, there shouldn't be no fighting. There should be some intrigue. Okay? Because I want every game, I want the big studios to have competition with each other. Why? Because competition means quality content, because they're going to want to outdo one another. Now, I know I could be right or wrong about quality and content, about what people see with certain games and different games, but saying that Microsoft's buying this is a weak move or just out of desperation, yes. In some terms, they did have to put some desperation in this, because yes, believe it or not, Microsoft is in dire need of games. They have always been. You cannot deny that at all. That's just common knowledge at this point. Where people praise Sony games over and over and over, yes, some deserve their status and some don't. Some are just as mediocre, if not on par with what people say, and it almost sounds like Xbox games. Like the most recent game that I've played, that yes, it is one of my favorite exclusives, but I want people to be able to play it on all platforms, is Ghost of Tsushima. That's the example I want to use for this, is people taking games like Ghost of Tsushima and comparing it to Xbox exclusives. This is where I think exclusives also have a problem, and then in this buyout, it could be an even greater problem. You'll have people taking games that are completely different genres, like both exclusive to the companies, but have two completely genres and gameplay styles, and comparing them to see what's better than one another. No, you can't do that. That's like if you're trying to take Ghost of Tsushima, for example, and compare it to Halo, it's really not much of a debate at all, because you're comparing two separate games, two separate styles. You're comparing a franchise to a game that's so far a singular game with possibility of a future sequel. But if you take a game like, you should compare the Gears games to the Halo games on an exclusive, like, and which one is better out of that? Let's look at the Mario Kart games. How can you take the Mario Kart games and compare those to like the Call of Duty games? Even though those aren't exclusive, Call of Duty does have some exclusivity when it comes to certain platforms, and when it comes to PlayStation, they do have some exclusivity in regards to content, I mean. And I think that this current gen was a battle of exclusives, and this next gen is just going to be a battle of IPs. It's going to be a battle of what company gets bought. And that's just a weird thing to look at. You know, we don't want people battling over exclusives anymore. Okay, that's fine. But it's like we have to pick our poison, and now we're battling for the rights of bragging rights for platforms having different companies and pretty good companies. Okay? But whether you look at it or not, good or bad, I want to say this as a person who has seen and thought about it so far, who's really thought about this. Microsoft may have bought Bethesda, but at the end of the day, Bethesda games, they need multi-platform sales. I'm sorry, as great as some of the games are, Bethesda's games are not system sellers. That's just the honest truth. Okay? If Skyrim was to solely come out on the Xbox system, it would do half of what it would do had it been released on all platforms. Okay? Those games are not meant to be singular exclusives to Xbox or to PlayStation or to hell to Nintendo or to hell even with the PC. They're not meant to be solely on those platforms. Okay? You need Doom to be multi-platform for it to gain the money and everything. It's just, yes, great gameplay and great controls and a great game, yes, can hold a lot of weight. It really can. It can hold to push the company, to push the sales of the game. But with the bad faith that was built up this current gen with Microsoft and how it handled things, just because they bought this, nobody's looking at it with an optimistic view. Everybody's looking at it with the view of, yeah, one's going to dominate the other. But when you think about it, the games they bought, the game studios that they have now, those require multi-platform sales. And they might quickly realize that and have to allow the games that were already being designed for the next gen platforms, like not just the Xbox but on the PlayStation and the PC, they have to let those come out. Now maybe future titles, that's different. That's understandable. But this Microsoft deal could go one of two ways. It could go very well, it could go very backfire. But what I'm worried about is that, let's say The Elder Scrolls or Doom releases solely on the Xbox and it doesn't make the money that it could have made. Then Microsoft will just turn Bethesda and all those studios they buy into what they did to Rare Studios. How Rare used to be one of the kings in the early days of gaming, to now they're just a shell of who they once were. You know, I'm afraid that Microsoft is going to pull at EA. Once a game does not do well or doesn't make the numbers it should, they're going to shelve the games and they're going to shelve that particular part of the company and have the employees work on games that they don't even want to work on, that doesn't fit their talents. Because if you look at Rare Studios, the game in question would be Sea of Thieves. Compare that to Rare's games as Donkey Kong, and from the old days of Donkey Kong and Conker's Bad Fur Day, 007 GoldenEye, those games. That is a far cry to what Rare has become now, and that's all I am worried about. As a gamer, I'm just worried about what will happen to these IPs in the future. Could this work? Absolutely. Can it backfire? Most definitely, if done wrong. So that's all I gotta say. That is my honest thoughts on Microsoft buying Bethesda. It's really a 50-50 two-way street if you think about it. It could go really good, it can go really bad. But remain optimistic as we go into this next gaming generation. This is Emperor John Kill 3D, and I'll catch you all next video.